It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and as you can tell, I'm in a different setting than I'm normally in, reporting live from the island in my kitchen. Yeah, the island in my kitchen. Doing a little bit of a different style podcast today. And we're going to actually be covering a topic that we have not covered just yet today as well. So hopefully you will enjoy today's podcast. Again, this is It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast, and I am your host, Brandon Jones. On today's episode, we're going to talk about hustle culture. Now, some of you may have no idea what this is or what this even means, but it is something that your children will become very familiar with if they haven't already. Many of the influencers that they check out, many of the people that they will idolize and watch and that influence them are part of this hustle culture. And pretty soon, as they become adults, they will enter into this hustle culture as well as, employees, entrepreneurs, um, merchants. They will enter into this as tenants, as patrons, all these things. They're gonna be a part of this new hustle culture economy that we have. Newer, it's not 100% new. It's been around for quite some time, but it's definitely making an impact, and we're definitely starting to see how people are adjusting to this new world. We have seen a shift take place. We've not always had hustle culture in the way that we do today. Now it is part of mainstream culture, is hustle culture, and then your child is being socialized and conditioned in this space. So we're going to get into that on today's podcast. So give me one moment. I'm missing some information here. All right, never mind. I'm just going to rock without it. All right, we're going to keep it going. Now, what sparked this for me? What sparked this for me was an article in the Business Insider. The article was focusing on how hustle culture is impacting the mental and emotional health of your children. And the article was focused on billionaire investor John, I believe his last name is pronounced Kalamos, John Kalamos. And what he did in his interview was share information to young people about growing up in this world where they have this booming economic opportunities that are rooted in hustle culture. So I'm entitling today's podcast Balancing Hustle Culture: How Caregivers Can Support Mental Health in Today's Adolescents. So John Kalamos shared some advice with young people about growing up in the booming economic opportunity, these booming world of economic opportunities. He encouraged a proactive mindset and long-term vision for success, highlighting that values of discipline, ambition, and strong work ethic are extremely important. While this advice is valuable in many respects, it also raises the critical question for today's parents and caregivers. How do we support adolescents navigating a culture of increasingly sharp, or sorry, that's a culture that's increasingly shaped by high achievement pressure and social compromise, right? And I would also add social comparison as well. So there's compromise and there's comparison, all while preserving their mental and emotional health. That's what we're aiming for today. So there is a double-edged sword when it comes to this hustle culture. Yes, it is flashy, it is gritty, it is, as the young people say, getting it out the mud, being able to go from nothing to something. That is one thing that makes this country great is anybody can figure out a way to make it here. If you have little to nothing, you can figure out a way to survive, get the resources you need, or even beyond the resources you need. And all it takes is creativity, innovation, access, and sometimes luck. We'll say luck as well. So, what is hustle culture, right? The glorification of consistent productivity and performance is the root of hustle culture. It has seeped deeply into the mindsets of young people, especially in the areas where success stories of self made entrepreneurs, influencers, and tech moguls flood our and their feeds. What I mean by that is all over social media. They're seeing the people. They know who these people are who are out here getting money legally and illegally. They know. They know they're paying attention. On one hand, this culture encourages ambition, self direction, and resiliency. On the other hand, it can push adolescents into a state of chronic stress, identity confusion, and ultimately burnout. Even it can burn out the adults who are in their lives as well. So for teens, the message is loud and clear. If you're not grinding, you're falling behind. You gotta hit that pavement running. You gotta touch grass, as the young people like to say. You gotta get out here and get it, right? When I was an adolescent, a rapper by the name of 50 Cent dropped a landmark album called Get Rich or Die Trying. That was all the motivation I needed as a young man to go out here and get it as best as I can. Now, I wasn't a street dude. No. We knew a lot of street dudes, but never was really in me. But that still that grit, that grind mentality, that go ahead and get rich or die trying, it resonated with me. And that I think that was really the pre um development of what we consider to be this hustle culture that we have today, for sure. So, what does this hustle culture do? It creates a dangerous cycle, a generation consistently striving for more without being given the tools or the permission to rest, reflect, or just simply be. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to do better. Gotta. That's where we're at, and that's what many people are doing. So, what are the psychological costs of consistent achievement? Research continues to show that adolescent mental health is in crisis. According to the CDC, the rates for anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation have all increased in youth over the past decade. Social media only amplifies this pressure and fuels unrealistic comparisons as well as unrealistic expectations. When young people are taught that their worth is measured by their productivity or financial output, they begin to internalize failure, right? They're internalizing the failure. Not that I failed at this thing, but I am a failure myself. Big difference. Big difference. So, not as a learning experience, this internalization is more of a personal deficit. You're something wrong with you. You didn't learn from what you lost. You're defective. You need to get fixed. You are the problem. When young people are taught that their worth is measured by the productivity or the financial output, they begin to internalize failure. I had to just bring that back one more time. In this environment that we live in, even well intentioned messages like what Kalamos, the billionaire investor, was stating can be misinterpreted that, and one could think, if I'm not wealthy by the age of 30, I failed. Now, there's a lot of people, they're not thinking that far ahead, right? They're not thinking where they're going to be in the next 15, 20 years. They're just stuck where they're at, and they're just thinking about getting there, day to day, moment to moment, which is something that we have to be able to reshift as well. So we have some people who are thinking too far down the line with too big of aspirations, and we have young people who are not thinking far enough. So there's a continuum here. There's a huge variance in what's going on. So how can caregivers and parents help teens navigate the landscape? Parents and caregivers have powerful roles to play in shaping how adolescents process the cultural messages around success. Here are a few ways, and you know me, I always like to give at least six, but today I'm going to give you five ways that we can do this. The first one is we need to redefine what success is at home. We need to encourage young people to see success not just as financial or academic, but also emotional and relational as well. Are you maintaining your emotional well being? Are you just an emotional wreck? Do people want to be around you or not? And if they do want to be around you, how are those relationships? Are you being manipulated? Are you being used? Are you being bullied or teased? Or is it healthy? Is it a two-way street? Is it engaging? Does it bring you joy? Those things are very important in today's world. Celebrate efforts, learnings, and emotional growth just as much as grades, scholarships, and career paths. Number two, create space for rest and reflection. So, Model and encourage rest. This is big. It's something that I have to tell myself all the time as I work, 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 work. Sometimes I need to just pause, stop, and chill. Teens are observing what you value. They observe it, right? They absorb it, they observe it, they watch, and they soak it in. Not just the way that you say it. It's caregivers' consistent push through exhaustion. Teens will follow suit. Prioritize unstructured time, sleep, and mental breaks in your home. Sometimes you got to model the correct behavior that you would like to see displayed in your children. Number three, foster emotional intelligence. We talked about this on the podcast. We might have to bring emotional intelligence back again in a few weeks or so. Equip adolescents with language and tools to process stress, perfectionism, and failure. Teach them to name their emotion, challenge their self talk, and set realistic goals. And then number four, push back against toxic comparison. So teens help, sorry, caregivers should help teens understand that social media often showcases curated versions of life. These are things that have been cherry picked and put together to show you how good or awesome or great things are going in people's lives. They're curated, right? It's all thought about. Teach them that critical thinking skills about what they see online and how it affects their self image. So it's not a bad thing to observe it and take it in. I mean, but it is a bad thing to internalize it and compare yourself. You have to be able to decipher what's entertainment and what's educational from what's reality in real life for yourself. And then number five, encourage purpose over pressure. It's a really difficult one to do because a lot of young people don't know what their purposes are just yet. They've only been in the world for a decade and a half. But how do you help them start to define and develop that to the best of your ability? So instead of forcing teens into predefined molds of success, support them in exploring their own interests, their values, and their strengths. Help them discover purpose, not just the pressure that they feel as a young person from their peers, from the media, from the things around them, their communities, etc. Help them really discover who they are, how they are, and why they are the way they are. You can do it by asking one simple question. You can ask, what impact do you want to have in the world? Instead of, what job do you want to have when you grow up? Help them figure out what their value is. And when they show you or display their value, do not be afraid to encourage it, support it, and celebrate it. My final thoughts on this: that billion-dollar investor, his advice is rooted in a world that values discipline and long-term thinking. Both are important for developing grit and resilience. But in today's cultural climate, where hustle culture can suffocate emotional development, caregivers must help adolescents find balance. You got to help these young people find the balance in their life as best as possible. Our youth do not need to be pressured, they need to be guided. They need to be present, right? They need permission to grow at their own pace, emotionally, mentally, and yes, even professionally. Because in the long run, the most successful adults aren't just the ones who hustled the hardest, but they're the ones who understood themselves deeply, they took care of their mental well being, and they lived with intention. And on that, folks, we're going to close out today's podcast. If you like today's podcast, there's three places you can find us. The first is on Facebook. Just go ahead and search in the Facebook search bar. It is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. You can find me. You can find old articles that I've written. You can find old podcasts that we've done here right there in the on the Facebook page or in Facebook. The second place is if you want to reach out to me directly, you can check me out at my personal website, www.jegna.org. That's jegna.org, jegna.org. And in third place, if you enjoyed something that I said, there's a good chance you're going to like some of the other podcasters we have on our network. That network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Again, ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Be sure to check us out there. And that's going to do it for us, folks. Yes, this hustle culture thing is real. We are all a part of it on some level. Don't be afraid of it, but be prepared to deal with it because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you're going to hustle hard, make sure you hustle smart as well. And make sure that you're being safe, you're being constructive, and you're being well. And I'll talk to you next time. Peace.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault, or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
To keep my home running smooth, I count on Xfinity Internet. With 99.9% reliability, we're all online at once. No slowdowns. The Xfinity app lets me manage our Wi-Fi and keep things secure. Xfinity makes it easy.